Good evening, and welcome to the 716 Playbook, where every play counts. I am your host, Kyle Jensen, and if this is your first time coming on tonight, I hope I do not scare you away. And if you are a reoccurring viewer, I am glad that I didn't scare you away. Welcome back. If this is the first time coming to the show, this is a podcast based all around Buffalo pro sports teams. So we are going to cover the Bandits, the Sabres, and the Bills. Now look, before I get into what I have to talk about tonight, I want to make sure that you all know, if you don't already know, that you can find us live here, 7 p.m. Eastern, every single Tuesday on YouTube, X, and Twitch. And now, introducing TikTok Live. We will be going live on TikTok at the exact same time we're going live on all the other platforms. So that's just another way that you can come watch us live. And look, if you're thinking to yourself, well, I can't watch you live, I have to watch the recording afterwards, that's okay. You can find us, again, on all those platforms. Plus, we are now joining Spotify, so you can watch our recording on top of all the other places where we go live. You can find our recording on Spotify now, on their podcast section. So that is an exciting new addition on top of the TikTok Live. And if you missed last week's or you didn't see the commotion, welcome back. There's a couple changes. Look down below. Obviously, you will see that we are currently on X, Twitch, TikTok. I can't see all of them. Instagram, Threads, YouTube. We're on all of them. And now we'll be on Spotify as well. Make sure you are commenting. This show is just as much for you guys as it is for me. So I want to know what you guys are thinking, what your questions are. If you don't think that I'm saying something correctly, if I'm mispronouncing a name, or if you do not think that what I'm saying is true or you don't like my analysis, please, I would encourage you to please comment. I will make sure to cover most comments. If you spam, I'm not going to be able to cover them all. But if you ask me a question, you say something, just if you're genuinely curious, make sure that you put that in the comment section. I am trying to do new things every single week, little by little. This week was primarily focused around the stream itself and trying to make sure that what happened last week does not happen this week. We had some technical difficulties last week, and I really don't want that to happen again. Of course, if it does happen, if you get kicked off the live for some reason, I will make sure to have the recording up, and you can find that on YouTube, find that on Twitch, on X, on TikTok. You can at least find us live on TikTok. And then you will see our recording on Spotify as well. Twitch, the recording saves for 14 days. So, again, if you want to watch back further, make sure you go to YouTube or X. You can find them there. And you can find us at the 716 Playbook. Or if you're going on YouTube, it is at 716 Playbook. There is no "the" in the YouTube username. I think that pretty much covers all of our pre-show notes. We're going to jump really, really quickly into the Bandits because we have so much to cover. So much is happening in Buffalo, primarily in Orchard Park, but we will get to that later. Right now, we are going to just focus around the Bandits. So let's kick this off with the Bandits. I love that transition. That is my favorite transition. Okay. Also, JBands44 said, "Let's go Buffalo." Thank you, JBands44, for commenting. Again, I will shout you out if you comment. So make sure you comment, and I will shout you out. Let's go Buffalo indeed. Anyway, all right, so the Bandits, 2 weeks ago, so that wasn't last Saturday, but 2 Saturdays ago, we lost against Calgary Roughnecks. We lost to them in Buffalo, so we actually played them back-to-back. So we were able to play them this past Saturday, and we beat them. We beat them 11-6, and the big shout-out of this game was the 19-year veteran, Matt Vince, who had 44 saves in this game. He was an animal. Again, my biggest critique right now with this team, besides the offense not always being able to answer back, the biggest critique that I have is the defense, because we are putting a lot of pressure on a 40-year-old to defend the net, because our defense is not really, in my opinion, they're not great. Lack of defense in multiple games. But anyway, we're not going to be upset tonight because we won. We got that revenge, and we played them in Calgary. So we played them on the road, and we got to beat them. It was a pretty much shot-for-shot remake of when we played Saskatchewan, when Saskatchewan came to us, and then we got to go to them. They beat us at home, and we beat them at home. So we are just beating each other at each other's home courts. So, you know what? I'll take it. A win's a win. So, anyway, we are still first in the standings. We are currently 10-2 on the season. I believe the Rush are like 10-4, so that's why they're second. They have the same amount of wins as us. The Rush actually lost this week, which is great for Buffalo. It helps us secure that top 1 seed and continue moving on to the next week. So we are still top seed because we now have the same amount of wins and we have less losses than Saskatchewan. So we are still number 1 in the NLL. This game kind of real quick. Right off the bat, Calgary scored their first goal. And they were up 1-0, and then the Roughnecks scored back-to-back and took a lead of 3-1. And it was, at first I was like, oh boy, this is, again, we start out, I'm like, this is not going to be a great start, but the next 20 minutes, it was all Buffalo. With 20 seconds left in the first quarter, Chase Frazier sniped a shot and made a score which helped Buffalo get within 1 goal. It made it 3-2. And then Josh Byrne and Kyle Buchanan dominated the second quarter, each scoring 2 goals, and that gave the Bandits a lead of 6-3 at halftime. Byrne dodged from the right shot, driving to the middle to put it past Rose. There were some amazing play-by-plays, and it's so hard to cover a play because I can't really show video on here. But I'm telling you, these guys they're amazing. Josh Byrne, especially Kyle Buchanan, Dane Smith. I mean, they're our guys. And obviously Matt Vince on the goaltender side is doing great things for Buffalo. But I will just say Josh Byrne is doing great things for Buffalo, and I'm loving what I'm seeing from him on the offensive side. Buchanan got his 20th and 21st goal of the season in this game as well. And the Bandits went on a 5-goal run. It was a beautiful, beautiful sight. And we were just plugging and chugging throughout the game. Vince was obviously the story in the first half. He stopped 24 of 27 shots in just the 30 minutes of gameplay. And that includes, he went 12 of 12 in the second quarter. He saved all 12 of 12 shots from the Roughnecks in the second quarter. He's been doing great things. I cannot say enough great things about Matt Vince. For as old as he is that, and he's not scoring, right? So he is a pivotal player on the Bandits that the entire team kind of gathers around, and he's our goaltender. So it's kind of like a unique thing to see in Buffalo. But Matt Vince is obviously very loved by Buffalo. He's been playing majority of his career in Buffalo, so I'll love to see what I'm seeing from Matt Vince. On top of that, the Roughnecks did break up the Bandits scoring run with a goal 31 seconds into the second half. Again, we just come out after these long breaks, whether that be in the beginning of the first half or the beginning of the second half, and we just let up points again. But Frazier luckily was able to answer back, and then Calgary scored again, and that made the score 7-5. All right. Nearly 7 minutes later, Nanakoke scored off his own rebound, actually, because he struck a goal, hit the post, obviously, bounced back. He got it and then reshot it and scored. So he scored off his own rebound, which is awesome. Vince continued, obviously, to have a strong performance with another 12 saves in the third quarter and completely shut down the Calgary's offense again. Buchanan opened the fourth quarter with a goal, cutting behind the Calgary defense for a quick stick shot. We then made it 9-5, so we had a pretty good stretch lead. And then the Roughnecks did score, and they were able to score 2-on-0 breakaway, which obviously resulted in an easy goal for Buffalo again. So, again, we're just going back and forth here. And then Burns scores again, and he makes it 11-6 with the largest lead of the game. Just a completely dominant offensive game, I would say, for Buffalo, but I'd also say it was heavily dominating on the goaltender side as well. So, the defense in my opinion, doesn't show up, but Matt Vince does, and that does some great things. You're allowing 12 shots in the third quarter. That's not a great defensive stat. But Matt Vince is able to have 12 saves that quarter. So, again, it's kind of a give and take there. Byrne earned his first hat trick since February 15th, so it's been almost a month. Again, he's just been doing some great things on that end as well. And then Vince did save 8 of 9 shots in the final quarter. 6 goals are the Roughnecks' fewest in a game this season. So obviously we won 11-6, and 6 goals is the lowest. So we kept them to the lowest amount of points that they have scored in a game all season. So again, thank you, Matt Vince. I'm going to shout him out because he's been doing some great things. And he is the poster child of this Bandits team and obviously of this game. So with that win, we will be returning back to Buffalo to play the Las Vegas Desert Dogs in Buffalo at KeyBank Center this Friday, March 21st at 7 p.m. Eastern. Desert Dogs are kind of horrid right now. And when I say that with love. But currently, their standings are not doing very well. They are pretty much last in the league. They're 3-11, and they have not been able to gain any traction. So I don't think it'll be really that hard of a game for the Bandits. I'm just hoping that we don't walk in with big heads and think that we can just take it. We are going to be at home. It's probably going to be another packed house. The Bandits have just been selling out tickets because they've been on a run, and they've been doing so well. So obviously something to see there, but it's the best team against the worst team right now in the league. So obviously I'll have more to talk about next week with what the result happened from this game. But I think, again, this is my genuine opinion. I think the Desert Dogs are going to come out stronger than the Bandits. That's just history if it's going to repeat itself. But I ultimately think that in the end, the Bandits will have no problem beating this team. I think if Matt Vince can just continue to do what he's been doing, there's no way that the Desert Dogs are going to be able to score on us. So that is my opinion about this team. That is going to transition us pretty much right into the Sabres segment, which, obviously I would usually say that this team is a dumpster fire, but it's hard to say that they're a dumpster fire when they're still technically not out of the playoffs yet. They're technically there's still a chance. It's less than a 1% chance. There's actually 0 odds of them making it. It's less than 1%. I don't know how all that works. Odds are different than chances, but either way, there's still some sort of mathematical way that they can do it. They would have to pretty much win out. If they win the next 17 of their 18 games, what I read something online was, I guess that they would be like 47% chance of making the playoffs. So they would basically win out, and they don't even have a 50% chance of making the playoffs. So again, don't think it's going to be probable. But again, I can't say that they're out of the playoffs because they are the bottom team. If you look at a list of teams that could potentially make the playoffs, they are the bottom team. They have the lowest chances, but they're technically still in it. So I can't say that they're a dumpster fire. Yeah, I don't like what I've been seeing from them, but they just won 2 of their last 3 games since the last time we met. So obviously that's something to be proud of. They are 27-33-6. Again, still bottom of the division, bottom, I believe, of the conference. So it's not like it's like a pretty set. Yeah, they are bottom. They are worse than the Flyers right now by 1 game. So that's embarrassing. Okay, but again, they still have a chance. They still have a chance. All right. So the first game we played. Excuse me, I need to get some water. The first game that we played was against the Red Wings. We lost 7-3. This was last Wednesday. It was just not a good game. The Buffalo's whole, I don't know what their game plan was heading into this game. But after the first period, it was 3-2 Red Wings, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, we have a chance. And then it was 4-3 after the second period, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, we still have a chance. We are in this game. In the third period, they scored 3 times, and we didn't score at all in the third period. There's something about the Sabres in the third period that we're either on fire or a dumpster fire. So I don't know what's going on in the mentality, in plays. I don't know. Obviously, I'm not part of the organization, so I can't tell you what they're doing. But it just feels like they aren't prepared for close games. But then the next game, it looks like they are prepared for close games. So I have no idea what kind of planning goes into these games. But I can tell you right now, we're right there neck and neck, 4-3. And then you allow 3 points in the third period. And we didn't score at all. It was just, in my opinion, a dumpster fire of a third period. Josh Norris, newly traded to the Sabres, scored in his first as a member of the Sabres for the first time. He scored. Tage Thompson had a goal and an assist. So did Zach Benson, who, again, also was promoted to the top of the line alongside Norris and Thompson because J.J. Peterka is, again, out for a lower body injury. Luukkonen made 22 saves. Luukkonen, I don't know what you're doing, but in the third period, you allowed 3 points. You allowed 3 goals. I don't know how, why. And I'm not going to put it all on you because our offense can't answer back. But you allowed 3 goals in the third period. You made a close game not such a close game. And obviously that has to kind of do with like a mentality as well, because as soon as you kind of start slipping away, it just kind of unravels. You're down by 1, then you're down by 2, then you're down by 3, then you're down by 4. So, you could probably say that like 2 of those goals were probably we probably lost 1 goal in the third, and we probably thought, all right, now we're down by 2. It's the third period. We're probably not going to come back. And I could probably see that and make some sort of justification for the Sabres, but I'm done justifying the team. I'm done justifying this type of play. And Lindy, my biggest concern, if you were to even have a future as the coach again next season, is just we put way too much confidence into our goaltender. Luukkonen is not Ryan Miller. Okay, you're not going to make him Ryan Miller. So something's got to give. But either way, Patrick Kane led the way for Detroit. He had 5 points, 3 goals, 2 assists. I mean, you can't do anything when you allow one guy to score 5 to have his name is attached to 5 points in the game. I mean, he's a great player. Great player. I remember when he got traded to the Rangers. I believe it was a trade. I believe he got traded. I don't think he signed. He traded to the Rangers. I remember it because I was in college, and my roommate is a Rangers fan, and I remember him it was great while it lasted. I know he's a great player, but again, you still allowed 3 goals from one guy. So, Buffalo, please figure out what you're doing. Get the momentum back. I don't know what's going on, but hey, we did get the momentum back. That's the good thing. We played on Saturday. We played a matinee, so an afternoon game, and we won 4-3 in a shootout. Dahlin, or Dahlin, however you want to pronounce his name, scored the game-tying goal with 13 seconds remaining in regulation to bring us into overtime, which then his tying goal came less than 3 minutes after Jack Eichel's, which he scored to put the Knights up. So Jack Eichel scores, and then bam, we were able to score back. 13 seconds left, and it was a beautiful score to bring us to the overtime. And then obviously, you know what happens there. We did not. Luukkonen, obviously had a couple saves in overtime. We weren't able to score in overtime. Neither were they. We went to a shootout. Luukkonen was able to, have a couple stops there. And then Jack Quinn, I believe it was Jack Quinn who buried a backhand attempt. And then I think Tuck. I think it was Alex Tuck who scored the shootout winner. I'm going to say it's Tuck. Tuck scored the shootout. He was the winner in that game. He was the poster child I would put for that game. Again, there's some life there. it was a good way to stop them in overtime. I would have rather it ended in overtime. I would have rather we scored in overtime, but got the stop, didn't allow any points, brought us to a shootout, and we won. So I can't complain about that. We were able to win 4-3, and we did come back. Going into the third, we were down 2-1. So again, I'll take it. I'll take it. A win's a win. Okay, and then last night in overtime, we won 3-2 against the Bruins. So back-to-back nights, or I guess back-to-back games for Buffalo, where we went into overtime, and we beat them 3-2. And it was in TD Garden, so we were away. Alex Tuch scored the overtime winner, and he scored. Okay, so Alex Tuch scored this game as well. So Alex Tuch scored the overtime winner on a power play with 11 seconds remaining as the Sabres earned their second straight win past regulation, and Alex Tuch was the guy to do it for both games. That's about as much as you need to know about this game. It was a heavily defensive game on both sides, but Luukkonen stopped 17 of 19 shots. We only allowed 19 shots the entire game. I will give it to Luukkonen. He stopped 17 of 19. Again, I would have rather... It's a bittersweet. We won the game, so I can't be mad. But at the same time, okay, 19 shots. Come on, Luukkonen. We should have never even gone to overtime, but we did. It is what it is. I just don't. I personally have a love-hate relationship with Luukkonen. Like 1 week I love him, and the next week I feel like he doesn't have confidence in himself. The team has way too much confidence in him, and Lindy is trying to make him Ryan Miller. So there's like three components here that just aren't meshing well together, and it's allowing for what we're seeing here. Even when the defense is showing up, we still allow shots to go in. Again, can't put it all on Luukkonen's shoulders, but I'm going to put some of it on his shoulders. I just want to see a game where we don't allow any. Okay? And that might sound real unrealistic, but it's not at all. Or even just allow one. Like, there's got to be some kind of give leeway, give or take here. But either way, we won the game in overtime. Thank you, Alex Tuch, for being the clutchest athlete. And I'm grateful. Again, the Sabres did not play with Josh Norris last night, JJ Peterka. We were our two big guys that didn't play. JJ Peterka is still suffering with a lower body injury. And Josh Norris, it was not disclosed what happened with him. I don't know what's going on there. There is no word yet about what is happening with Josh Norris. So kind of stay tuned on what that looks like. But again, we won 2 of our last 3 games. Can't be overly upset. I just don't like what I'm seeing from our goaltender. It's a huge shift, right? You go from the Bandits, who has one of the best goaltenders in the league, to the Sabres, and Luukkonen is just not a confident goalie. He just is not. He's not Matt Vince. So that's unfortunate. But the Sabres, we play again in Utah. It's against the Hockey Club, which is the worst name for a sports team ever. The Utah Hockey Club. I just want to put that out there. We play against them at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Tomorrow night, March 20th. Nope, that'll be Thursday. So I apologize about that. We play Thursday, March 20th, 9 p.m. Eastern Time in Utah. So Utah is only 30, 26, and 11. They're not like that great. So it should be a better game. But again, I say that, and we played the Bruins, and we did amazing. So, It could go either way. So we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening with that game as well. All right. Now we're going to move on, obviously, to the best segment of the night. We're going to be talking about the Buffalo Bills and what they have been able to accomplish so far. We saw a couple days of legal tampering and a couple days of free agency. So what have they been able to do? And we'll kind of dissect this a little bit. Obviously, before we get into that, though, we have to talk about the food for thought. Your food for thought, which, this is probably a great time to explain this segment. Food for thought is a great transition period because you just heard me talk about the Bandits and the Sabres. And if you are here this long, you deserve a treat because probably most of you want to hear about the Bills. You don't want to hear about the Sabres or the Bandits. But here's your little treat. Here's your food for thought. Here's your cool fact of the day. The only quarterback drafted by the Denver Broncos that won a playoff game with the Broncos was Tim Tebow. My man, Tim Tebow. Could not say more good things about Tim Tebow. I actually really like Tim Tebow. A lot of people don't like Tim Tebow. I don't know why. I love that guy. But anyway, yeah, there's your food for thought as we move into the Bills segment. Real quick, guys, this is also a great time to also just let you know, again, we go live every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time on YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, and X. You can find our recordings on YouTube, X, and Spotify, which is newly added. Twitch will save the recording for 14 days, so if you're watching on Twitch, you can always go back and watch it. And then the biggest thing is that make sure you follow the accounts like on Instagram, on TikTok, on X. X, I'm going to give you live game updates. That's the one that I'm constantly on. I'm constantly not only taking news from there, but I'm also being able to kind of publish new thoughts and game updates. And if you're not able to catch a game, I'm able to post about it. So that's where you're going to kind of find your live updates on that. When it comes to TikTok and Instagram, that's primarily going to be where you see your daily clips. I try to post at least one clip a day just to kind of give a rerun and kind of like a little bit of like a what is going on in Buffalo. So again, that is something to just keep in mind, back of your head. Make sure you follow us on all the platforms. Make sure you hit bell notifications as well. And if you go to one of our platforms, there'll be a link in bio. You can hit that. It's going to pull you to our link tree, and then it'll just give you all the links right there for you to be able to click on them and just follow us. Make sure you like the post. Make sure you hit bell notifications so that when I post, you get alerted. Because I'm trying to post, especially like after 5 o'clock when I get home from work or on a weekend. I'm trying to post within the hour of breaking news. So if you have that on and I post, most likely chance you see it, it's going to be about breaking news that is happening within the hour. So make sure that you have that notification setting on, because that obviously allows you to be in the loop of what's going on in the moment with especially the Bills, but all of your pro Buffalo sports teams. On top of all of that, being able to go live on TikTok is a blessing. Unfortunately, I can't interact with the comments on the TikTok side. I'm going to try to look into that to see if I can moving forward. But again, that is just some of your kind of a good transition into the next segment, and to kind of give you guys an update on platforms that we're on and how you can best go about that. So appreciate all of you and all the support. Make sure you comment, make sure you're liking, make sure you're following. It really does mean a lot to me. Make sure you guys are sharing the account to as many people as you think would love to watch it, love to see the daily clips, and would love to interact with me. You don't even have to be a Bills fan to follow or even talk to me. You could be a Ravens fan or a Chiefs fan and just, comment. You can debate me. You can come on the show and debate me if you really want. I will obviously open that up. You have to be respectful and polite and kind to all viewpoints. Does not matter what. This is supposed to be fun, so please don't make it more than it is. Okay, with that being said, we have a lot to cover with this Bills segment. All right. So, last Sunday on March 9th, we released defensive edge Von Miller. It's only saved us $8 million in the cap. Obviously, we need to make cap changes quickly because we had a pretty eventful week last week. We signed a bunch of guys. So obviously there's some unexpected things that we didn't know in the moment of why they were releasing him. But as soon as we released him, I thought to myself, we're probably doing that because we are desperate for the money now, because we need it now. So I thought if we release him post June 1st, it's probably going to be because we're not going to do massive moves in the offseason. But because we released him so early to try to save every buck we possibly can, probably tells me that Brandon Beane has some cards up his sleeve. On top of that, Sunday night, quarterback Josh Allen got an extension. He is now going to play with Buffalo for 6 more years, $330 million. And in the most amount of money guaranteed in NFL history. He is guaranteed $250 million, and he is worth every penny. He can go out and break his leg tomorrow, and he is worthy and deserving of every penny in that contract. You might think that is really extreme because he's never given us a ring. He has been able to transform this Buffalo team into something that you watched it maybe even 5 or 6 years ago, maybe say 6 or 7 years ago, and you thought this would never be. If somebody told me 6 years ago this is where the Bills team will be, that we'll be constantly on the edge of a Super Bowl appearance, let alone to win, I would tell you you're nuts. This man single-handedly has been doing that for Buffalo. And if you don't believe me, look at who we had in our receiving room last season, and look at how many points we were able to put up with one of the worst defenses in the league, and then tell me that it's not all basically Josh Allen doing the dirty work, the grunt work on offense to put up points to ultimately win games. He deserves every penny that he is guaranteed. I really hope he doesn't get injured. I think he is obviously going to be the future of Buffalo. He is the present, and he will be the future of Buffalo. And I really hope that we can get something done. Not only for Buffalo's sake, but for his sake. Losing to the Chiefs year after year is probably the most gut-wrenching thing as a fan. I could not imagine him. So again, that is my personal opinion. On Monday, we signed wide receiver Josh Palmer, former LA Charger, to a 3-year, $36 million deal. Again, a lot of people were mixed on media. I don't really know. He's a great outside wide out route runner. Okay, he can run. He's a wide out. He's a wide out receiver. That's who he is. He is going to be our Amari Cooper. Okay, and that's probably. And I don't think stats will show it. Okay, but I've also watched some gameplay. Josh Allen loves to throw on the edge. He loves to throw kind of in between inbounds and out of bounds. And you need a guy that's really good on his feet, especially at the wide out receiver, who is fast, quick, and knows how to do the double tap, because you need to have 2 feet in order to keep it to count as a catch. Josh Palmer, I've watched game film. He is that guy. Okay, he is that wide receiver. So I do think that he will be just fine. I think he'll mesh well. Josh Allen makes pretty much any receiver look well, so I'm really not that worried about it. And I'm not going to go one way or the other with this. I'm not going to spiral out of control and get into hypotheticals. Just take it where it is. Linebacker Michael Hoyt signed a 3-year, $24 million deal with us on Monday of last week. This is what I'll say. He's former LA Rams. I think he's pretty decent, but he can also play pretty much any position. So he's listed as a linebacker. He can play defensive edge. He can play defensive tackle. He can pretty much play anything. And his biggest thing on the line is creating holes. And I think he'll be perfect paired up with Ed Oliver. And then obviously the saddest news so far coming out of free agency is that we lost Mac Hollins, probably the most beloved Buffalo. I honestly, out of everybody, I thought he was the one that was going to stay. Unfortunately, we lost Mac Hollins. He signed to the Patriots, signed him for 2 years, $8 million. I personally think that he is worth that. And if I was a Bills GM, I would have paid him. He led in receiving touchdowns last year for the Buffalo Bills. In my opinion, I think we should have kept him. And I think it, yes, he had a good stats. It was his character. It's how he presents himself on the field. He obviously was a character, but he brought a lot of team chemistry. He was kind of like a glue. And honestly, I'm gonna be in my opinion, Stephon Diggs set the locker room apart, split it in half. I mean, everybody was just in shambles. Stephon Diggs did a lot of damage in the locker room and a lot of drama off the field. Mac Hollins came in the offseason, and he was just goofy. And I think he brought a special type of culture back to Buffalo where they just the love of the game, love of the team, love of each other, and it meshed really well. So I'm going to be really sad to see him go. I think very highly of him. But I'm very excited to get to see him and play him twice a year against the Patriots. So that'll be fun. On Tuesday, it was probably our biggest day. It started off, we signed a running back, Darrington Evans. We've signed him 3 times now. He is probably most likely just going to be a training camp body, but we shall see what he does. We also re-signed running back Ty Johnson to a 2-year, $5 million deal. This is what I'll say about Ty Johnson. He is probably, when it comes to pairing up to any defense, Ty Johnson does it the best out of a lot of running backs in the league because he is such a dual threat. And this is what I mean by that. Ty Johnson is actually, if you look at him, he's pretty big. He can run the ball very well. He can catch the ball very well. But his ability to block is really good too. So when you have, and this is like, when you have plays broken out and you have Josh Allen at the helm and you have Ty Johnson out there, the defense is thinking right now, Ty Johnson can run it or pass it, but he can also block. So if you were to put Mac Hollins and Khalil Shakir behind the line of scrimmage, kind of further back, and you kick them both out, Ty Johnson can, do a fake run. Josh Allen can screen pass it to Khalil Shakir, and Ty Johnson can block very well for Shakir. So he is a triple threat on the offensive side because the defense does not know if we're running it, passing it, or if we're going to use him as a blocker. In my opinion, 2 years, $5 million is a steal. I think he will only get better every year. And honestly, every game. I really like what I see out of Ty Johnson. I really like what I see out of Ray Davis. I think they're both really good. And on top of that, that kind of goes into the next segment of I don't think we can afford, nor should we pay James Cook $15 million a year. And I genuinely don't think that James Cook will be a Buffalo Bill for much longer. He might play out the season if he doesn't hold out. If he does, he will get traded. I have no idea what they're going to do. He could very well play it out. But if James Cook stays on the I want $15 million a year, he's not going to stay. Potentially, we are freeing up a lot of money. We're signing a lot of 1-year deals, which allows for a lot of money in cap next offseason, which might allow us to sign a running back for that much money. So who knows? If James Cook can stick it out, we might be able to sign him back next season for a lot more money. I don't know yet. I have no idea what they're cooking. But when it comes to the cap, we're already really tight right now. I can't see us being able to sign him for $15 million extension. It just doesn't seem like it's going to be able to work. We were also awarded on Tuesday two fifth round draft picks as well. So we now have 10 picks, which is going to be really crucial for us to either get good guys or trade up, which most likely we will be doing because we need at least 1 or 2 rookies on the defensive line. We just don't. Our defense really is not focused enough in the draft, especially the D-line. The D-line really is not focused enough in the draft. So just look out for that because I think you'll see probably a lot of D linemen going to Buffalo from the draft. We re-signed fullback Reggie Gillum to a 1-year deal as well. He is our fullback. Honestly, I'm going to look this up real quick because I want to know how much he played last. I don't know what his stats even were. Reggie Gillum has spent 6 seasons in Buffalo. I'm going to look this up. I apologize if that, because there might be a little bit of a delay. So he spent 6 seasons in Buffalo. He's played 650 offensive snaps and 1,495 yards on special teams. So he's pretty much a special teams guy. In 2024, Gillum made 4 tackles and had 3 touches for 7 yards. So, okay. All right. We signed him for a 1-year deal. He probably didn't get that much money. And he's pretty much used primarily for our special teams. And then after I was able to do the show last Tuesday, we had an unexpected massive free agency market move last Tuesday, after the show ended, we signed defensive edge Joey Bosa, former LA Chargers, to a 1-year, $12 million deal, and I love this. A lot of people were kind of skeptical on how Joey Bosa would do. He keeps getting injured. And Brandon Beane in a press conference pretty much said, any fear that you have about Joey Bosa, about injuries, remember that he played 14 games last season. Joey Bosa, I think, still has at least 1 or 2 more years left in him where he is a solid defensive player. And I like that we signed him to a 1-year deal. I think it helps us a lot for cap space for next offseason. And if we continue to sign these guys to 1-year deals, it allows us to reevaluate. So especially this year alone, we gotta create some space. So creating and locking down contract extensions for some big guys is really crucial, and we were able to do that with Greg Rousseau, Terrell Bernard. Probably might see Christian Benford. I don't know. Josh Allen. Some of the crucial guys, giving them that long-term extension because that they will probably go up in stock is very smart. Okay, that's why you give extensions. That's why you give money out. And obviously, Greg Rousseau is not worth the extension yet, but Buffalo is planning on him being worth it in the future. And I think he will. I think he will grow into that spot. And now that we have, on the other side of the defensive edge, we have Joey Bosa standing there, Greg Rousseau is going to be great. I think he's going to pop out. I think Joey Bosa is great to teach him how to be that defensive edge, and I think it's going to be a standout year for the Bills' defensive line. You have, Michael Hoyt standing with Ed Oliver. Again, amazing pairing. So I think our D-line is honestly in a good shape. It's in a good spot. Moving into Wednesday, we signed defensive tackle Larry Ogunjobi to a 1-year, $8 million deal. And that deal was he played for the Steelers. So, again, signing guys, veterans especially, that are very, very aware and know the D-line well and come from good defensive D-line teams, and being able to use what they know and their knowledge in order to teach some of these young guys and bring them up. Look at the Eagles. That's what they're doing. So I really do like that move as well. Again, I'm not going to speculate what they're going to do next season. I just think that's way out of line. I might critique here and there, but I really just don't want to harp on the one guy and say, oh, this is a terrible or good. I have no idea what the plan is, but we'll see. When it comes to Damar Hamlin, our safety, we signed him back to a 1-year, $2 million deal. Obviously, we don't need to give him an extension. I don't think Damar Hamlin will really be ever a breakout starter. I don't even think he's going to start next season, in my opinion. I think it's going to be Cole Bishop and Taylor Rapp, and we'll probably play nickel a lot and throw in Taron Johnson. I don't see Damar Hamlin being a starter for the safety room. I just don't see that happening. Giving him the 1-year, $2 million deal is pretty much saying, hey, we want you to continue on the team. You're not awful. He's not terrible, but I really didn't even need to see him back, in my opinion. But we'll see what happens. He could surprise all of us. I have no idea. But we also were able to restructure Ed Oliver and saved $10 million in cap space. Ed Oliver was the second largest contract on the team. He was taking up a lot of cap space, and when we gave him the extension, he was doing very well. Ever since the extension, actually, he has not been doing very well. So the reshaping of the contract allowed us to save $10 million in cap space, and it allowed us to kind of configure some money around so that we can sign some of the other guys. We also signed safety Derek Foster to a 1-year deal as well. That deal, I talked to a couple Commander fans, and they said that he is a really good player. One guy said that he's a dog. He was able to pick off the Eagles one of their passes last season, and so he does have an interception. I think he has 2 from last season. And he is a decent safety. He is not a starting safety. But I honestly think with our safeties in the safety room, depending on what the rest of the free agency and draft looks like, I think Derek Foster could probably fight in training camp for a starting role. The Buffalo Bills traded cornerback Kaiir Elam to the Cowboys, and we got a 5th round and a 7th round pick. Kaiir Elam, if you would have asked me yesterday how I felt, I would have said only optimistic things. I would have said, hey, I really wish that it worked out. I know he didn't do so well with us on the defense, but, he loved Buffalo. He loved the city. He was very enthusiastic about joining Buffalo. And Brandon Beane was very emotional about Kaiir Elam, really wanted him to do well, and he didn't. But then Kaiir Elam said some stupid stuff today, and I take all of that back. This is what Kaiir Elam had to say. Coming to Buffalo, I was a kid that just wanted to improve and learn and really show off my talents, but I was always put in the back seat. I continued to put my head down and work, continued to make plays throughout the season and in the playoffs and stuff like that. I just took everything I learned from there and all the baggage and improvements I felt like I needed to make and just packaged it up and worked on it every day. I don't really see it as a negative. I really just see it as a growing opportunity for me to go shine somewhere else. I'm confident because I'm coming into a staff that truly believes in me. I don't think they would have made the move if they didn't. I feel like everything starts with an opportunity. So if I'm able to come in here and compete and show what I can do, that's all I really would want. I don't need a red carpet or anything like that. I just want to be able to earn it with a fair opportunity. Wah. You go watch game film, anybody, go look up Kaiir Elam against the Chiefs and tell me that the Buffalo Bills were not right in keeping him as a backup cornerback because he is not good. He's not decent. And I could probably give you a guaranteed response right now that is all lies. Okay? And this is what I'll say too. You got traded for 2 late-round picks. That doesn't make you look good. Doesn't make the Cowboys look like they wanted you. It makes Brandon Beane look like one of the best general managers in the world for being able to get 2 picks for you. I think that is disgraceful. I watched that press conference on Friday with Brandon Beane, our GM, and Brandon Beane had only good things to say about Kaiir Elam. He said that he actually got emotional and teary-eyed and said that he believed in that kid, that he really wanted to work out, and that everybody in the organization, including defensive coordinators, assistants, coaching, training staff, they all put in energy and work for that kid. And for him to go to Dallas and make that response, I have nothing but good luck. Good luck, kid, because Micah Parsons on day one will not put up with you. So whatever attitude that is, put it in check before you walk in that door, because Jerry Jones is really good at signing checks, and he's really good at ripping them up too. So I would warn Kaiir Elam right now that if you want any spot on another team, that you don't respond like that. As a Bills fan, that got me rolling, got me steaming, because knowing how the Bills treat their players, it's really, really surprising and quite shameful to know that a guy who we put a lot of energy and work into responds like that. So that's all I got to say. Kaiir Elam, good luck with the Cowboys. I tried to be as respectful, optimistic. A lot of people on media did the same thing for you after you cost us a terrible defensive plays. You play after play after play against the Chiefs. You were unreliable and awful. I would have rather had somebody else come in the game. I would have rather had Josh Allen step in for you as a cornerback. That's how bad you did. And it's shameful that you got traded to another team and you can use it as a platform to talk about how we didn't believe in you and how they believe in you more because they traded for you. Good luck. Anyway, defensive end Casey Tuhill, who played for the Buffalo Bills, kind of was like a reserve bench player, did not really ever start. He signed with the Texans, so we lost him in free agency. I didn't think that the Buffalo Bills were going to get him back. On Thursday, the Buffalo Bills signed wide receiver and return specialist Laviska Shenault Jr. Everybody said online, who? ? He's played for like a bunch of teams. In my opinion, this is why they did it. We just signed Chris Tabor to our special teams coordinator position. He was the special teams coordinator for the Panthers. I believe it was the Panthers. Yes, it was the Panthers. He is really good. And their return specialist was Laviska Shenault. So we got their coordinator, and then the coordinator probably had a lot of influence in saying, hey, let's get this kid in. He's not only a wide receiver, but he's a return specialist. Buffalo needs a return specialist. We were using Khalil Shakir. We do have Durante Hardy as well. I believe so as well, who was our return specialist last season. Let the kid at least compete for that spot in training camp. That's probably exactly what went down, and that's why we signed him. On Friday, we signed former cornerback Dane Jackson to a 1-year deal. I saw that coming a mile away. We need a cornerback. We need a guy who knows our defense well. We need a guy who's been part of the organization, who knows the plays, who can get right into it. We desperately need cornerbacks. We desperately need people on our defense, and we signed cornerback Dane Johnson to a 1-year deal. A lot of people are split about this. I don't have anything bad to say. He will not be a starter, but I think he is more reliable than Kaiir Elam. So I hope that he does well next year, and I hope that he kind of sprouts out in training camp. We signed guard Kendrick Green, former center and guard for the Texans, and then he was a center for the Steelers his rookie year, where he played most of the snaps, actually, for the offense. He is, as the Texans are kind of dismantling their O-line and their D-line and everything, we picked him up on a 1-year deal. Again, probably just a training camp body. There's going to be a lot of those moving forward. We need you can only have 53 guys on a roster, okay, to start the season. But you can have up to 90 guys in training camp and in the offseason. So we're signing all of these guys, seeing what they do, and then we make the 53-man roster. Everybody else gets cut, and then most of them come back as a reserved, and then they just sit and wait. Defensive tackle. Okay, so then we have a press conference on Friday night, and this is where the big no news happens. So we just signed linebacker Michael Hoyt. We just signed defensive tackle Larry Ogunjobi, and they both were suspended for 6 weeks for the usage of PEDs, which is performance enhancement drugs. Brandon Beane comes to the podium and just is very flat out honest about it. They're both two different players, two different teams, two different circumstances. They both kind of explained it. Neither of them did it on purpose, is what they claim. But both of them both took responsibility. We knew about Michael Hoyt's. That's why we signed him to a 3-year deal. So losing 6 games out of 3 years isn't that big of a deal. But again, we lose them for 6 games. So the first 6 games of regular season, the first 4 weeks, they can't be in any sort of training camp facility. They can't be in any training facilities. They can't be in any practices. They can't have any contact with the team. And then the last 2 weeks they can practice and train, but they just can't be at the games or participate in the games. And then after that 6 weeks, so on week 7, they can finally play. We knew about Michael Hoyt signing, but we didn't know about Larry Ogunjobi. That was a massive oversight. And when Brandon Beane was asked, when Brandon Beane brought this to the attention of the media, we had yet to actually officially sign him. He was announced as a signing, but he was not officially signed yet. And when asked why we were still moving forward with a 1-year deal, especially with him losing like half his contract, Brandon Beane basically said, now that we're this far into free agency, it's been multiple days, there's not as many defensive tackles left in the market, so now we're kind of stuck. That's basically what he said. That's not the answer that you definitely want, but it's the answer that we got. So that is just some news for you guys as well. I'm going to be honest, that's a massive oversight, Brandon Beane. I get it. They didn't know about it. It's just a terrible situation. I can't really blame Brandon Beane for it, but at the same time, it's just rough. It's a very rough situation. All right, moving on to Saturday. Not that breaking of news, but linebacker Terrell Bernard swapped his jersey number from 43 to 8. So he's changing his number up to 8 now. That's not really like that breaking of news, but just another thing. So now we kind of enter on Sunday, which happened to be March 16th. That was the day, 5 years ago, that we signed Stefon Diggs. Okay, if you don't know Stefon Diggs, he was a wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills. Kind of like made a lot of like off-field noise, said some stupid stuff, was just being like a hothead, and was kind of like causing drama in the team. Well, Stefon Diggs got rid of all of his Buffalo Bills posts. Well, he put them back on the 16th. And then started following the Buffalo Bills again on social media. He was posting about the Buffalo Bills. And then shortly after everybody noticed, he stopped following the Buffalo Bills and just kept his old posts up. So a lot of people are speculating that he wants a return to the Bills. A lot of people are speculating that it just meant that he was being like symbolic because it was the 5th-year anniversary of him signing with the Bills. I personally do not want to see him back on the Bills. He does not fit the everybody eats mentality. We have a great thing going on in Buffalo. We don't need the off-field noise. We don't need a guy who wants the ball the most. We need guys who are willing to say, okay, I'm here. And if it's between me and another guy, if the other guy has a better opportunity, give him the ball. Stephon Diggs is not that guy. Stephon Diggs wants the ball. Stephon Diggs wants the spotlight. He wants to be about himself. And for him to sign back on with the team, there would need to be some massive growth coming from him. And I don't see that happening. I could be wrong. He can sign back on with the Bills. Again, I will always take him. Obviously, I don't have a choice. We'll take him back. And it's not like I won't accept him back with loving, forgiving arms. But I don't want to see history repeat itself, and I don't want to see him do the exact same thing again. So if we sign him back, I hope that we are sure and positive that he is not going to do the same shenanigans that he did the first time around. But that's like some speculation happening. Honestly, I think it's just like people not having enough things to talk about now that like we're a couple days into free agency and there's not going to be as many like daily things happening. So they're going to speculate about something. And then this morning, Matt Milano actually adjusted his contract and cut 1 year off his contract. And cut, I think we saved like $3 million with the contract. It allows him to be a free agent next year, but it saves us like over $3 million, but allows him to gain it back in incentives, which helps both parties. If Matt Milano doesn't get injured, which he's injury prone, so if he doesn't get injured and he plays well, he gets his money back. If he gets injured or he doesn't play well, he doesn't get that money back. So he still gets a base salary. It's a lot lower. It's over $3 million lower, but he can get every penny back if he's able to fulfill his incentives. We'll see. I think it's a win-win. Buffalo saves money in the cap, and Matt Milano gets to still earn his money back, which incentivizes Buffalo because if Matt Milano does well, the Bills do well. So obviously that's a win-win situation for everybody. And I think guys that have high incentives play better because they want those incentives. That's how it works. That kind of wraps up. Thank you. JBands44 said, W stream, gotta head out. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate you watching. Look, I think there's a lot of good that came out of last week. Obviously, it's not the two defensive players that are going to be out 6 weeks. It's not the biggest of deals. We still have our D-line. We still have Joey Bosa. There's still a lot there. It's just like unfortunate that two new guys aren't going to be able to play until week 7. Kind of like hurts the ability that like the whole team will have progressed and have that chemistry and kind of like adjusted the game plan, and like they won't. So that's a little unfortunate. It's gonna open it up so like if we start Michael Hoyt or if we start Larry Ogunjobi, like it's gonna hurt their ability to like they can't just like pick up where they left off, right? Because there was no left off. They're new to the team. It's so their first game of the Buffalo of their tenure with the Bills will be in week 7. So that kind of like hurts us a little bit, but again, it is what it is. Got to roll with the punches. So again, when it comes to off-season news outside of the Bills, there's not a lot. We're kind of still awaiting news on what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. Since he's been cut with the team, with the Jets, I want to know where he's going next. But I think speculation is that he's going to sign with the Steelers. I would be interested to see if he does. And there's speculation that Russell Wilson is going to go to the Browns. So, again, we'll see what happens there. Obviously, if you missed it, Myles Garrett is continuing to play for the Browns. He signed a 6-year contract with the Browns worth like $140 million. So he is staying there. After all that off-season noise about him leaving, he is staying. So Cooper Kupp is going to Seattle. That's some big news that's going on as well. The LA Rams cut Cooper Kupp, and now he is going to be going to Seattle. And he is going to be playing with Sam Darnold. So that actually is probably a really good duo. He'll probably do a lot better there than he did on the Rams. So also, probably like the last big thing. Well, there's two big things. The Chiefs have officially re-signed wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster. That's just something that if you're curious to know about, they did re-sign Juju. And Brandon Graham, who is a D lineman, defensive player for the Philadelphia Eagles. He has announced his retirement. He has been a big piece and part of helping the Eagles win both their Super Bowls. He actually returned from a torn tricep muscle to play in the Super Bowl and help the Eagles win. So he has played 15 seasons with the Eagles, has been a big part of their defense, and that is a really big shame. The Eagles have lost a lot of defensive men. It's exactly what happens. Whatever side of the ball does really well in the Super Bowl and whatever team wins, right, that side of the ball ends up losing a lot of guys because those guys now are worth more, and you can't sign all those guys on for more money. It just doesn't work that way. The cap space doesn't work that way, and even with the increase in cap space, again, you're not able to keep every guy. So Brendan Graham retiring, and then you have guys that are leaving, guys signing other places. It's unfortunate for the Eagles. They're going to see probably a big change on their defense, but your offense is still really good. So, all right, guys, that kind of transitions us back to the end. We're going to wrap up the show here. You just heard me talk for an hour straight. You're probably exhausted and ready to leave. I appreciate everybody that has come on and stayed on and listened. Again, if you don't know, we are going live every week, Tuesday, 7 p.m. on YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, and X. You can watch our recordings on YouTube, X, and Spotify, and Twitch saves the recording for 14 days. Make sure that you follow us on all of your account. All of our accounts are going to be listed right down below. We will add the Spotify logo on for next week. Make sure you give us a listen. Make sure you give us a follow. Make sure you're liking our daily clips. We're on Threads, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok, YouTube. We are constantly posting clips daily to give you breaking news. And in order to get the breaking news while it happens, hit that bell notification so you never miss when we post, because those posts are about the breaking news. So if you see that we posted, you can click on it, see the clip, like it, and know what is happening with the Buffalo Bills. I appreciate you all for coming on tonight. And I hope that next week I will have more things to talk about revolving around the Buffalo Bills, their free agency, and moving forward. I hope I have some answers to unanswered questions leaving the Buffalo Bills so far is, besides like the defense, are we going to extend Christian Benford's contract? He is obviously our CB1. He is amazing, but he's also injury prone. And if he continues to get injured, he's not going to be able to progress. He's not going to be able to do as well. And it wouldn't make sense for us to keep him on the team. We can obviously pick up somebody else or draft somebody else. And also, is James Cook here to stay or not? And, obviously the question of, is Stephon Diggs coming back? Those three questions, will they be answered by next week? I don't know. But I hope you all have a great night. Have a great week. Make sure you give us a follow. Give us a shout out. Comment down below on all of our posts. And I hope to see you guys again very soon. You guys are a huge part of why this is even a reality for me. So this is a huge honor to be able to host this show. I appreciate you all. I hope you have a great night. Go Bandits, go Sabres, and go Bills.